We are here celebrating AAPI, which is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And you know, there's been one of the things that I always get a little bit confused about, and I am Asian American, so please do not feel concerned if you don't know like what we have. Native Hawaiian, we have APITA with DESI, we have a lot of inclusion now in those acronyms as the world of acronyms go, but I will list them all here so that we can kind of learn from one another, because I am by no means an expert on all of that. So as the Congress in, I think it was 1978 established, was basically this is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, but of course it does include all of our Native Hawaiians and DESI community as well.
Okay, so that's good for me to know but I am not Asian American. This is very educational for me. If we start this off here, what does this month mean to you?
The thing about AAPI history or AAPI Heritage Month is that growing up, I didn't really identify so much as like, oh, I'm Asian American, and so here comes May, and now we're going to do all these different activities. But because of Walam and the Kung Fu School and everything, there were always kind of shows or festivals or, you know, that one-time celebration that we would get invited to. So I had kind of an awareness of it. But honestly, and you know, this is until very recently, at least in the last 5 years, where I started to kind of really understand like what that means and what I actually feel like I should be doing. Right. I know the word should is a big, the more opportunities that I have is just to kind of learn. And so for me, I feel like it's an opportunity to kind of explore what that means, because what I said earlier was there's Asian, and that encompasses so many different countries. If I were a better student, I would have remembered from my conversation with my friend Khaled and how many countries. I think it's over 80 though. It's quite a lot. And so just to kind of get a chance to learn a little bit more about these different countries and their cultures, and I think it's, if anything else, it's a way to kind of honor our heritage. And I think it's a positive thing, right? But in the last year, it's really meant a lot different
you've
to
done
me.
A lot. So one of the things you mentioned about is how to honor it. It sounds like educating yourself and learning about it. Because, you know, we know in February with African American History Month, we learn about things actually in school. There are some things that we learn. But yeah, myself included, education system that I went through, we did not learn, or I don't recall any Asian American history being taught to me either. So
yeah, well, as you know, since we are married and you exist in this domain where you have to hear all the crazy and the madness and all the work that I've been doing, but basically last May for AAPI Heritage Month, I decided to start a petition. Right. And that petition was to include Asian American Pacific Islander history into our curriculum. Now, I can't control all curriculum. I can't control any, as a matter of fact, but specifically here in Florida, because that is where I live, I really felt that it was something that was important because I didn't get to learn a lot about Asian American history. And you'd mentioned like, yeah, and you're from New York, so you would at least think somewhere where there's a bigger, higher immigration community, immigrant community, where there's a little bit more culture, there's actual Chinatown, there's different dynamics there. Somewhere like Florida, it's a little bit less growing now, but we had discussed that it's just really not taught. And one of the things that I was really drawn to was the tool of education as the solution to a lot of the anti-Asian hate crimes that we were seeing. And of course, last 2021, I started off kind of addressing that hate and my thoughts on it, and then build up after the Atlanta spa shooting to the AAPI Heritage Month. I was like, okay, I think I'll start a petition, and what harm could come from that?
You could describe the harm if you want, but maybe talk about the challenges that you've had with the petition, specifically being that we are in Florida, where there's a lot of divide and it's not always evenly distributed, the divide. And so what are some of the challenges you had with that petition?
Yeah, so at first it was actually kind of exciting because the petition got a lot of traction and a lot of people were really interested in supporting it. I was really happy about that. And then fast forward, that petition actually became something that allowed me to write a bill. They're lawmakers. And so big thanks and heartfelt gratitude to Representative Anna Eskamani, who actually encouraged that and then kind of helped guide and let me know what that process was, because I didn't really understand how does a bill become a law and all of that stuff, and that we needed a House and we needed a Senate representative, and our other champion, Linda Stewart, came on board. And so it was something that kind of just really snowballed very quickly. And so the harm was that it was a lot of work on me and my life and my any extra time or anything like that. You get to still eat all the time.
Most
I did
important.
feed you.
Yes, so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but it was a lot. It was a really, really big undertaking, more than I had ever imagined when I started a simple petition last year. I hadn't imagined what the last year of my life would look like, leading up to now we are here celebrating AAPI Heritage, 1 year later. And of course, as most of our listeners and viewers and supporters know, that bill did not move forward in the House side, especially. The Senate side, I actually felt really strongly about. We were able to at least make it to the first agenda. And then from there, it was kind of a crazy day. It was very exciting. But the House, basically how it works is your bill has to get put in front of several committees, and it just depends. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 4. And we got 4, which meant it was going to be a challenge. And you have to go through each committee, and in order to even show up there, you have to be placed on the agenda. And we didn't even get placed on the first agenda. And after that, it goes to the House floor, and then it goes up for a vote. So there's a lot of steps in order for a bill to become a law, and it has to go through both the Florida House and the Florida Senate at the same time, and then that would be it. So as you know, it was very, very, very intense. I did go to Tallahassee and did try to advocate for it, met a lot of people, tried to talk to local lawmakers, legislators, different senators and House reps to try to, let them know that this was something that not just the Asian American community in Florida wanted, but other people, other allies and supporters and people who said, yeah, I want to learn more about Asian American history.